And folks, here we go. We are live once again here at day 2 of Little Traverse Bay Parafest here in Petoskey, Michigan. And right now, I've got the distinct honor of sitting right next to an amazing gentleman I just met this weekend, Jason McLeod. Where he learned how to investigate, like I said, pretty amazing. He's an author. He's got 2 amazing books out of a case that he worked on. So, Jason, welcome to the Paranormal Voice.
Thank you.
It's glad to have you here. So, tell us, who did you learn how to investigate through?
So, I worked with the late legendary Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were my mentors and friends, and in their later years, my colleagues. And what a blessing it's been.
Yeah, to learn from, as we here in the paranormal world call them the OGs of the paranormal, like they basically put paranormal on the map.
Right.
I mean, the work that the Warrens did, everything, and to learn under Ed Warren is simply, I mean, he was an amazing man. You know, I kind of wish to turn back time so I could have gone back to meet him.
Right.
He's just one of those iconic people that you read and learn so much. I mean, you see all their cases, obviously, most of their famous cases are now movies. So tell us your books,
Dark Seed, A Connecticut Family's Nightmare, and Dark Siege 2, The Nightmare Returns. It's the most terrifying and fascinating case I'd ever investigated. And it was just after I was only in for 3 years, really. I started with the Warrens in 1990. This case happened in 93. I was never going to talk about it. The family wanted no recognition whatsoever because they came back after the family a second time. And that's why there's 2 volumes.
Right.
And most of the cases that were the most horrific cases you will never hear about ever, because the families want nothing to do with it, because they were so horrific that, you know, these entities found a way to come back after the family and the clergy and their friends and the boyfriends and girlfriends and the investigators and the psychics. And it was just absolutely horrific. But I decided to write about it in 2012.
So that's amazing. Like you think, like, listen to you talk about these books and the case. It's like it almost sounds like a made up Hollywood horror movie, but this family actually experienced it. And for it to come back and to go after the family again because they did something about it. I mean, that is in itself freaky. How, when I guess it shows you, like, when they really want something from the other side, they will find every means to get back.
Yeah.
And they don't like to be banished.
They don't want to be banished, but Ed called it actually the most severe case of demoniacal retribution we've ever experienced to date because of what happened, what took place. And what took place that was most disturbing were incubus and succubus attacks that are sexual in nature. They involve 16-year-olds. And I almost didn't even release that portion of the case at all. But if it weren't for Bishop James Long, who read the PDF of the completed manuscript, and he said, you have to release this because people need to know that though rare, these incubus and succubus attacks happen, and the people who are their victims need to seek help from the clergy immediately. It's not something to mess around with, and it's not, some fanciful imagination. It's very deadly serious what can happen in these cases, and it ruined their lives. 2 of these young guys, it ruined their lives, and I would imagine that it still affects them to this day.
Oh, after experiencing something like that, I mean, there's no doubt that's not something you can just have washed away out of your memory, because that's something you will live with. I mean, it's no different than being a victim of like an everyday crime, being robbed or whatever. I mean, these paranormal cases that you're working on, I mean, they affect real lives. People really get affected.
Right.
And where can our fans find your books that want to read about this? Where's the best?
So my website is www.darksiege.com. I have my books for sale there. I have 2 other books that are out. I'm working on 2 full-length novels right now. One is a case that I investigated on the Warrens' behalf in Idaho when I was in college in Washington State, which was phenomenal. And the other is a case that I investigated in 1990, my first major case working with the Warrens in Vermont. And both of those are in the writing stages right now. I have pre-orders available for Rage in Rathdrum, which is the Idaho case. And I don't have anything available yet for the Vermont case, but that case changed my life. And that was the predecessor to this case I'm talking about in Dark Siege of Connecticut Family's Nightmare.
Wow, that's so amazing. So, if you don't mind me asking, like, what really got you into the paranormal?
Yeah. So I read The Demonologist when I was 18, and it was the Warrens book written with Gerard Brittle, which is basically the most devastating cases that they can prove in a court of law because there were so many people in positions of authority that
go back in here. There we go.